ladies and gentlemen, let's go. We are here with Matt Choi.
What's up, man?
Matt, thanks for being here.
Dude, pleasure is mine, my friend.
First of all, we got to start with how we met. You want to tell the story?
Yes, I was in the Austin airport and I travel a good amount, and I'm a fan of representing brands and people that I just look up to or kind of really like the mission of the brand. And I was wearing a Pro Mix shirt, which is the supplement company I work with. Shout out to Devin and Albert. And then Christian came up to me, he's like, dude, like, how do you know Pro Mix? Or like, do you do stuff with them? And then X, Y, and Z, we started getting a nice conversation. And I'm an ambassador for Pro Mix, and Christian's obviously an awesome athlete and was looking to get into that space with the supplement company. And long story short, I was in a rush. I was getting tacos. I'm in a rush to go film a YouTube video. And I was like, dude, let's get connected. We chatted that same week, and here we are recording a goddamn podcast.
Dude, it's crazy where life takes you. And just to sum up that story, life is all about like the energy you put out, being a good person, walking around shoulders back, like just like you want to be there. And Matt's energy attracted me, and I was like, you know what? He's wearing a brand that I've tried. I've used some of their supplements, Pro Mix, and he just had this energy about him. I was like, dude, I got to go meet this guy and just see kind of what his story is. And sure enough, a month later, I'm working with Matt. I'm at Matt's house right now. We just worked out, and we're gonna try to change the world together. So here we are.
I love it, dude. I love it,
man. So when I start these podcasts, I try to get to know who you are first and figure out, you know, what your childhood was like.
Hell yeah.
What's important about it that, you know, we should know, I should know, to kind of understand who Matt is.
Hell yeah. So I guess we're going into the origin story.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So I am Korean American. I got raised by a single mother. I have an older brother, and that was probably like a lot of my foundation as a kid, was having a chip on my shoulder, not having a father figure in my life a lot, and that's why I gravitated towards sports. A lot of male role models, people to look up to, community, and a lot of those things started to form me into who I am right now. And sports has always been a big part of my life because of the soft skills I got from it, in addition to the male role models and mentors. And my mom understood that. She understood that, hey, I can't be a father figure and a mother figure to my boys, but what could I do to support that is throw these kids into sports, throw them into activities. And me and my brother, we gelled into sports very quickly. Both of us being Asian, it's not as common to see people playing football. Like, how many Asians do you see that play football? Not many. And quickly we just got immersed into that environment, and both of us loved it. She threw us into stuff that most Asian parents would. Instruments, violin, piano, but she quickly realized that like me and my brother didn't have the motivation, the discipline to keep doing those things. We just did it because we wanted to check the box for our mom, because that's what all Asian kids did, is you played an instrument to extract the creativity in our minds. But for me and my brother, we really gravitated towards sports, and that was a big foundation into who I am today right now, in addition to kind of like the upbringing I went through.
Wow. So if you could summarize, what were the biggest lessons you learned from your childhood?
I think the biggest lessons I've learned was, one, to have gratitude for what you have. I think that kind of is a big foundational tool for me even today. It's like, I think as you look around the world and you look around at social media and mainstream media, it's very easy to compare to what others have versus what you already have, right? And I think that's like the world we live in. It's like, oh, I want to get X amount of followers or X amount of income, or I want this pair of shoes or this car. And I think people sometimes lose sight of like the things that they already own and possess, and how grateful they should be for what they have. When you're getting raised by a single mom, like, I didn't get all this nice stuff. I didn't get all the game systems. My mom couldn't afford that shit. But I always had a roof over my head. I had food at the dinner table at lunch and shit like that. So for me, I think the biggest lesson I took away was appreciate the little things that you already have versus the ambition of the things that you want. In life, people should have ambition. Because if not, what's the alternative? That you're complacent, you're just staying the same. But that was by far the biggest thing for me, where like even now, bro, like I'm not driven by materialistic things. I'm not driven by what's in the bank account or what, you know, brands of shoes or things that I can buy. It's more about who I am as a human. And that is by far the biggest takeaway I got as growing up.
Wow, I mean, hats off to your mother for like creating that childhood for you to embrace that and understand really what life's all about, and how you can't attribute your happiness to the things you receive. It's not even the circumstances too. It's about the people that you're surrounded with. And finding your passion early on is something so big that we can tie a lot of our, gratitude towards. And it seems like you found that. So from an early age, what was your why, and really what was your purpose?
That's a great question. I think early on, I did not understand what that even meant in terms of like, why am I on this earth? When you're a kid, I think a lot of times you're coexisting. You're trying to form your opinion, and it's all subjective of how you see the world. I don't think it was until I got through college and even high school, I started to form my own opinion of what I wanted to do. Playing college football was my North Star. That was like my driving force. I early on, my parents would be like, what do you want to do when you're a kid? Like as a kid, like every parent asks their kid that. What do you want to be when you grow up? And at first, I kept saying I wanted to be an engineer. And part of that, I kept saying I want to go to MIT and be an engineer and all those things. But part of that was like, I just knew that was where money was. And then I quickly started to realize as I got more into sports that I wasn't necessarily driven to be an engineer. It was more what came with being an engineer. Status, money, having like that position of power in that sense. And as I started to play football more throughout high school and even through middle school, I started to have success through sports, specifically football. And coaches started to talk to my mom about what are your thoughts on Matt playing college football? And for my mom, as an Asian American mom, she did not even think that was a realistic option. For her, it was grades. That's going to be how you get into the next step, your next season of life. It's by doing well in school. But for me, I never applied myself in school. But football was like my identity. And it's what I started to like spend all my time doing, living, breathing football all day. And my goal throughout high school was to earn a college scholarship. And that was my North Star. And then when I got into college, I then was like, I want to go take this as far as I can. I want to go to the NFL. I want to be the first full Korean American NFL player. And like that was what drove me. But quickly I realized that even for athletes, like that is not a why. Like that is like a goal, right? But to be the first Asian American football player is not necessarily like it wasn't my why. It was just the goal that I had in mind and something that I was trying to seek. But now as I've kind of gotten older, I think for me, like my why is just I want to make impact on the world in a positive way. And I feel like there's a lot of negativity that exists currently. And if I can be a positive light to just one human being a day, like that is ultimately for me, like what I want to achieve on this earth. And, it could be, through learning right now, like I've learned a lot about myself through running and through entrepreneurship and a lot of things I've been able to do. And for me, it's like I want to continue to test myself and learn new things so that I can spread that message to as many people as possible.
Man, that's freaking incredible. But you said, success was scholarships. It was athletics. It was that sort of success. How has your perspective on success changed as you got out of sports? As you went through college, and now you're 27 years old. You're running full time. You're inspiring people. Like, ultimately, what does success mean to you?
Success means the ability to have freedom and to choose what you do, when you do it, and with who you do it with. Yeah. And like that's what it is. Like in that it's changed because success is just subjective to every human, and like most things in life, it's all about how you see it. And for me, as I've gotten older, it really is the freedom. It's the ability to wake up every day and like choose what you do. Designing the life that you want to live, to me, is ultimately the game. And and like we used to talk about at lunch, like there's no like 5-year, 10-year exit strategy. It's like, I want to feel like this. I want to have freedom for the rest of my life. And working for that now in my 20s to then see what that looks like in my 30s, to be around for my kids, to be a father, and to be a present father. Like that is what I try to aspire, because I know that freedom is what everyone chases, because time is the one asset that none of us can stop. Yeah. It just continues to go without any of our choices, So freedom is ultimately what I determine as success.
Wow. Was there a moment in your life, a day, a month, whatever it may be, that light switched where your outlook on what you wanted to accomplish and who you wanted to be changed?
1000%. I think a couple things happened. Like I got into corporate America first. So before I got even into personal training, entrepreneurship, like content creating, I was a business marketing and management. That was my degree. And after school, I got a job in like a sales and operations position. And it was in a corporate America job, Fortune 500 company, and it was a service-based company. So a lot of what we did was a service, right? So we were disposing medical waste and getting rid of secured information. And in that, you start to learn and see what it's like to work up a corporate ladder, right? And for me, I knew that that wasn't going to be my end all be all, but I needed to start to educate myself and start to put in different voices and different people. And I think that was the biggest thing, is like shifting my environment and the people I was listening to. By far, when I started to do that more, and whether it was Gary Vee or Jay Shetty or David Goggins or Jesse Itzler, like whoever it was, like I was just consuming content from entrepreneurs that had a mindset that I wanted. And that was when it changed, bro. People ask like, oh dude, like, what are your secrets? Like, how do I get to where you are? And by far the best piece of advice I would tell someone is change what you're listening to. Like if you don't like your circumstance, and that could be from parents, significant other, friends, like if you right now are in a position where you feel like there's no one positive, there's no optimist in your life, well, you need to go seek that and find it from these external sources. And we live in the digital age right now where there's no excuses to not go seek that knowledge. It's all online. So for me, it started there, bro. Just like, I wanted to see like, well, why are these guys all successful, bro? Why is Cuban, Vaynerchuk, Musk, like, why are these guys all successful? They have very similar traits, and it's a lot of soft skills. And if you can start to adapt those skill sets and ingrain it into yourself and put your own twist to it, you can start to form your own opinion of what success is, of what is your why. And that's like, that's for me, bro. Like if you, Christian, if you looked at me 4 years ago, you would not see this human. Like, yes, aesthetically, I would look very similar, but my mindset was so different, bro. And a lot of my why and a lot of the things I do, bro, is to help that other person across the screen to hopefully realize that they can change their mindset too. Like as humans, we all have the ability to change and adapt. Like God or whatever you believe in, like the human body is like close to perfection. The ability for us to adapt and withstand and to do everything that we can as humans, like we are in way more control than people think. And they allow themselves to get distracted by external validation or social media or mainstream media. And I think for people, if you understand that you're 100% responsible for your life, it gets so much easier to live.
Dude, that's incredible. And I got to tell you guys, like what Matt just said about changing your environment is literally one of the most important things. And it's everything from the people you interact with, who and what you listen to. Like today, come to the collective literally was like my dream gym. And I met my inspiration, Devin Levesque. I mean, literally, I've been
manifesting it.
Just manifesting it. But me just being in that environment, in that gym with the people in that space literally fuels me and inspires me to just keep doing more. And it's the most fulfilling like feeling ever, because it was a year ago, 2 years ago, when I was just thinking about all this stuff where I was like, man, one day I want to be there. Like now I'm actually there. And it's so important to me, and it just ingrains in me how you have to trust the process and just take it day by day. And like, there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be shitty days. Like, let's be honest.
More than the good days.
Yeah, exactly. You know, success is never linear. Everybody thinks it's a straight line path, but it's literally like this and this and this. But if you can just keep stacking habits and small wins day after day, like today was a huge win for me. And I mean, it's guys like Matt that are opening those doors for me, but change your environment is what I'm trying to say. I'm so happy you said that, because I think it's so valuable for people.
It's very controllable.
Yeah.
It's the one thing where like, if you actually look at like, damn, like what am I in control of? And it's your actions and the things that you do. And if you focus solely on that, right? Because a lot of people focus on the things that they can't control. And it's just like, it's like human nature, because it's so much easier to point the finger or blame someone else. But when you have to take full accountability for your actions and your things, dude, it's harder.
Yeah.
It's a more challenging move, but it is actually the key to success.
Facts. So from the outside, everybody looking in it, they're seeing Matt as this like running guru. I mean, you're everywhere on social media, but before you're a corporate guy.
Yeah.
And it's not a linear path. I mean, you didn't build this empire that you built in a day. So what were those barriers to entry? And how did you navigate the corporate life into now being a full-time content creator? You found your why. You're living your dream life.
Yeah.
How'd you get there?
To Christian's point, I mean, it's far from like oh my God, like this awakening or like one video that just gone viral that got me all this success. It really was deploying patience by far is a secret that I think a lot of young entrepreneurs, people in their 20s and 30s, they can't really comprehend patience and how long we actually are going to exist on this earth. And as I consumed a lot of Gary Vee's content, I realized that I need to play this for the long game. Just like how I look at investments, it's always long term. I'm not in it for a quick flip. I'm not in it to buy Doge and flip it. So even how I build my brand, it's all about the long game. I want to do this up until 80, 90, 100 years old until I die on this planet. But that was by far the critical piece. Patience. Deploy that. And then it's, all right, well, understand how do I get my name or my brand out there? And it's understanding attention arbitrage. And I believe that every human is a media company first, and then what they do. Media company coach, media company lawyer, media company real estate agent, media company content creator, whatever. If you cannot communicate your message to the world on the platforms that have the most attention, it's going to get very tough to do business. And if you can actually understand how you communicate to the world, whether it's through video, audio, or the written word, that is also a great piece, and that takes self-awareness. You need to understand, am I comfortable talking in front of a camera, or am I more comfortable writing so then I can then turn it into a blog? Or am I comfortable audio with a mic in my hand but no video, because that's how some people are more comfortable. Understand how you communicate to the world and focus on that tactic. And that would be how it kind of started for me, but it's definitely not something that happens overnight. No one watched my shit for 2 years, bro. But it's staying disciplined, it's staying patient along the process while understanding that, yes, this might not be the best video right now, but I'm building these repetitions. How do you get better at push-ups? How do you get bigger chest?
Yeah,
you need to do the reps.
You just keep going.
You got to do the reps. And over time, you realize that I've gotten better. Dude, when I look at content from 2 years ago, Christian, I cringe. I'm like, this is so funny because it's...
Why did I create this?
100%. But then you look at it now and it's like, damn, I've gotten so much better. And it's the same thing, like, dude, the same tactics that people can apply in the gym or with their health and wellness applies to literally everything else in life. But so many people can only comprehend it when it comes to what physical, because they can see that result versus, dude, when you're growing in business, it's hard to gauge what success is. Because when you look at it through social, you'd be like, oh my God, dude, Matt's killing it. But underneath the skeletons, you might not see what the business actually looks like. And that's the same for any entrepreneur.
I mean, guys, listen to this. Some of the most successful people in life have mastered this, and they found the sweet spot between their passion and just what they're really, really good at. And that intersection is like when the lights go. And you are literally a prime example of doing something that you love, but you're also really freaking good at it. And look where it's taken you now.
And dude, to find that, it takes trial and error.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta try things, which comes with failure.
Yep.
And if you even go down that rabbit hole, like, a lot of people in life don't try things because they're so scared of failure and the judgment you get from failing, whether it's from loved ones, internally or externally, right? So putting yourself out there, being vulnerable to failure is actually a key ingredient to success, right? Because growth happens through discomfort and through those opportunities of failure. It's just a matter of how you perceive it in your mind. Is it a learning opportunity, or is it the end of the world because so-and-so is going to say, I told you shouldn't have started that business. I told you should have left corporate America. And if you can actually stop living your life based on the opinions of other people and start living it based on what you believe is true for yourself, then it gets so fucking easy, bro.
But there's two types of people in this world. It's people that are driven by the fear of failure and people that are driven by success.
Yep.
Now, there's no right or wrong. I've always been driven by the fear of failure. That's just who I was, but it motivates me so much to keep going and to prepare so hard, which as an athlete, that's the only thing you can control is your preparation. But it wasn't until probably this year when I started working with a sports psychologist that I embraced failure and I'm confident to fail. Because we rewired my brain to look at failure as simply like a data point on my journey. And now I can go back and understand, okay, why did I fail? How did I fail? Okay, sweet, that's in the rear view mirror. Now let's just try to work on not doing that again. But it changes everything.
Building that relationship is no different than building the muscle of anything. You have to, if you continue to fail, yes, it looks like you're taking micro L's, but in reality, you're building that muscle, you're callousing your framework and your mindset to endure that, to continue to try. And I think that's actually the key to success. Like, dude, before the first light bulb ever went off, it failed thousands of times.
Dude, Einstein 10,000 times.
Right? So
like he said, I just
gotta
gotta
work
get it
once.
right.
Just has to
10,000
work
times.
once.
Just gotta work once, and he did.
And that's on the other side of greatness, is all of those muscles, all of those reps. As you get better throughout, you're learning. It's new data points, new fucking skill sets that you're learning along the way. And then when opportunity meets preparation, boom, luck, light bulb, fucking like innovation, right? Like all of those things happen when you fail first. And if you can build that muscle, if you can build that feeling, it gets so much easier. And like you realize that, like, dude, every human fails. Like, it happens all day. But why do people fear it so much is that when it gets into the public eye or you put yourself out there, then you're getting the judgment from the external.
Yep.
And people always will have something to say, but at the end of the day, it's your life. And you get one life, you might as well live it on your terms.
It is so true. But imposter syndrome is so big these days, you know. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's basically you don't have confidence in yourself. Your name's not big enough, your platform's not big enough to spread a message on a certain topic. And that's what drives a lot of people away from getting into content, making
Facts.
things public about what they do. So did you ever have that? Like, did you ever have that fear, or?
I have it now. I feel it all the time. Jay Shetty said it best. If you have imposter syndrome, that means you're stretching yourself. It's a good thing. Don't think that you need to be the expert of all of it. Understand and be honest with yourself and the things that you're talking about, that you're not an expert. But it's when people try to fake it till you make it. When you have that mentality, then of course you look like a fraud.
Yeah.
But if you have imposter syndrome, that means that you're pushing the envelope. It means that you're pushing yourself out of your element, out of your comfort. So you should be proud that you have that feeling. But now ask yourself if you're actually trying to be the quote unquote expert and put on this facade that you know more than you do. Or another Gary Vee thing is, don't be the expert, be an enthusiast.
Yep.
I'm not a running expert, I'm a running enthusiast. But I get people in my inner circle, in my network that are experts that can elevate my game, that can elevate me as a human. So I don't think that people should look at it as like imposter syndrome is bad or good, because as humans, we all have it. As soon as you start to learn something new, you're like, damn, am I credible enough? Am I good enough for this? But at the end of the day, if you have good intent, if your intent is good, you can always find the right humans to help you, support you into what your mission or your goal is.
Wow. And so now, I mean, your network is so big and you're surrounded by incredible people. I need you to tell people how important it is to surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are probably smarter and better than you at a lot of things, but that only raises like who you are. That teaches you so much.
Bro, I mean, there's not many things I'll say today that someone hasn't heard. It's not nothing new. Like you're the average of the 5 people you hang with. And if those 5 people are not elevating you, then you're just staying the same. You should never be the smartest person in the room. And every single day I'm learning. Like, dude, when you get to meet guys like Devin and like Jay Hills and just like guys that are perfecting their craft, but then you realize that they're also learning.
Yeah.
Like, dude, people think that adults have this shit made, that parents know exactly what to, dude, every human is always learning. And it's the moment that you stop learning that you start to get very flatlined, complacent. So for me, it's like, yes, dude, the power of surrounding yourself with smart people and people that are striving to be better, of course that's the win, right? And if you can't find it locally because you live in the suburbs of a small town in Iowa or in freaking Nebraska, that's okay. Listening to different people, changing what you listen to is almost just as good as having the actual network. Because if you can't create that network right now, that's okay. But what you can control is what you fucking listen to. And if you're watching mainstream media and news all the time and it's giving you negativity, then stop watching that shit and turn on the most positive people that you can find around the niche or the interest or hobby that you have. And that would be by far the biggest ROI that most people can do right now. It takes zero money to go on YouTube and listen to Gary Vee or Devin LeVake or fucking Jesse Itzer. It takes $0. All it takes is your time. Stop watching House of Dragon. Stop watching the bullshit shows on Netflix and start to consume the knowledge and education that you say that you want. But I would say, Christian, that a lot of people talk a big game. They say that they want to do this. They say they want to do that. But when it comes down to doing the work, they don't actually want to do that shit.
I think, yeah, but a big thing is like the public perception of a perfect life is like, you go to college, you get a 4-year degree. You come out of college, you work this cool 9 to 5, and by the time you're 30, you're hopefully in some sort of executive or managerial position. But I think honestly, so many more people have these side passions, these side dreams that they want to pursue, but they don't because they're worried about what other people are going to say.
This is human behavior. Insecurity.
Yeah.
We can sit here and talk about the tactics of social media and why these platforms offer an opportunity to get exposed in terms of like good exposure,
Yeah.
right? Like building a brand, building an audience. But if you never look internally of why you actually have that mentality and framework, it starts there. It starts with having a self-awareness of like, damn, like, why do I care what my ex-girlfriend's gonna think? Why do I care what my high school friends are gonna think of me? And if you actually like peel back that onion and realize like, is it because I'm insecure? I seek outside validation? Like whatever that reason is, you need to go to the root of that issue. And what can you do to start to like peel back that onion is one, have the self-awareness to start to realize that that's true, but then start to implement habits and routines that can slowly break you out of that framework. And that's the game of life. That if you want some real success tricks or tips, is build your self-awareness.
Yep.
And understand who you are, what you want to do, and who you want to impact.
Yeah, man.
And start there.
Yeah, dude, some of the best advice I ever received. Think about the person you want to become. Envision that, envision Christian Dyer, whoever that is. Think about, what that person looks like, the conversation around that type of person, the influence he has on other people, then your habits, your behaviors, the routines, that's going to align. It's going to have to align to that person if you want to even have a fighting chance of becoming that person. And once I sat down for probably it was about 2 hours one day and I just wrote down stuff of the things I want to do, the things I want to become, things I want to change in my life, everything changed in my life. I mean, it freaking changed. But it was just a day where that's who I really want to become. So now let's work every single day just to try to get there. And it's never perfect, but there's always progress.
100%, dude. We get one life to live. Why not live it to our max?
Yeah.
And I think that concept, so many people just play it comfortable, play it safe. And it's like, in that, like, it is secure. It is comfortable. And there's a reason for that. But if you actually look at like why someone is successful or how someone was able to create success, there's like a mixture of understanding how much risk you should take in addition to like getting lucky, right? Because at some point you need to put yourself out there into the situations to receive some luck. But if you stay at your job where you know that you won't get exposed to that network, you can't create that luck for yourself. You need to take some risks along that way to just get lucky to meet Devin. You put yourself out there today to have a chance to meet some of these people.
Yep.
And the fact that it manifested the way it did is just organic.
Oh, it's amazing.
Right? And it's putting yourself into those positions to seek that. But I think a lot of people don't even get themselves into the door. You've given yourself the opportunity because of your framework to get yourself into the door. And then from there, just like how you connected with everyone that we met today, it's just your energy. It's you as a human.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, they have to actually contextualize that. Put yourself into the situation to get lucky. And it takes some risk. It takes failure. It takes putting yourself out there. So find out how you can do that in your given circumstance.
Dude, the hardest part for most people is just showing up. That's half the freaking battle. And like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's not going to be in the early stages. But so many people are like, I want to become him. I want to become her. I want to do what he's doing. I want the company that she's running. Dude, they built that over a long time. So many people think there's some fast track to a brand or an empire or a legacy, whatever it may be. But like, that's not the reality of this stuff.
If you can get out of that mentality, the sooner the better. Like, it's actually one of the key ingredients of success. Patience is by far something that everyone should practice, and you should find something in your life that can help develop it more. Running for me by far has created a different level of patience for me because I have not always been a runner. Football, I dedicated more than 10,000 hours, and if you look at Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, like that's how long it would take to even be a pseudo expert in anything.
But it's so much easier to get up every single day, to work towards something like that, like 10,000 hours, like you just said, when it means something to you. Like when you can attach your efforts and your mind to something greater than yourself, and like that passion and purpose of yours, it becomes easy when the times are darker.
Bro, even for me, like, I choose to do the things that I want, right? When you start to do things that are so different than like what people see as norm, whether it is running in the morning and like really committing yourself to a plan, a program, whatever it is, like in my head, bro, like I'm thinking like, you know, a lot of people are like, dude, I don't want to go run today. I'm sore. I feel like shit. It's so hot out. Like if you actually wrap that framework around and switch it and say, I'm privileged. I'm lucky I get to work out. I get to, not I have to.
Yeah.
Like this is a blessing.
Yeah.
Dude, you know how many people that are Paralympic, like the people that wish that they had the opportunity to have a healthy body to move, let alone most of America, 60% is obese in our country.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, like why is that the case? And it's a lot around how we treat like self-love and self-care. And that's why most people don't actually take care of themselves, is they don't love themselves enough to do it. Now, you don't have to go out here and run 100 miles to love yourself, but you can love yourself in a lot of ways. Whether it's eating cleaner, spending time to meditate or journal or move your body. There's so many ways to do it. But the reason I even brought that point up is that as I drive sometimes in the morning, if I don't leave right from my house, like I see people at Starbucks and they're waiting in line at 6 o'clock in the morning and they're waiting for their black coffee or their coffee, whatever it is. And for some of these people, Christian, like that's their highlight of the day. They go get that coffee and they sit down at a job they hate. Versus where I have to go run 10 miles, where some people are like, 10 miles, I couldn't even fathom running that in the morning. But for me, it's like I'm so privileged that I get a chance that I want to do that. I'm putting myself in that environment to do that versus it being like I have to do this today, right? Like some people wake up every day and they have that feeling when they go into the office or wherever they work.
Not some, the majority.
Most people.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have some type of motivation internally to do something that you actually want, it's a liberating feeling. It makes life way more enjoyable.
And that's why I'm doing this. I want to share these stories and inspire like you to go chase that dream. So when you wake up every day, it's not...
You're not dreading it.
I'm going to have my coffee, my breakfast, and I got to be in the office by 9 because that's what I have to do. It's, dude, I'm doing something I love. I got to be in the office by 9. Cool, I'll get in there by 8. Like... just that change in mindset around what you do literally will make your life go from existing to living.
And bro, you become way more positive.
Yeah.
Christian, people ask me, like I had a pod where someone was like, yo, let's focus on positivity and how you have that so much of it to share.
I don't have to focus on it.
Exactly. It's like when you're in a good place, mentally, spiritually, physically, it's so much easier to show up for other people.
Yeah.
Because you show up for yourself.
Yeah.
Before I touch any social media, I'm doing breath work and reading before I touch my device. You have to show up for yourself to then be able to show up for other people.
Yep.
And it's the same thing of like, how do you find love? Well, you have to love yourself before you can love someone. And I don't think many people actually have that in them. Like they want to give it away to everyone first before they even give it to themselves. And I think if you start with you, which is the one thing that you are actually in control of, start with yourself and let everything else reverse engineer, right? Start with you and let everything else fall into place. Where I think everyone tries to conform to the world instead of letting the world conform to them.
Oh, I love that.
You know, and it's like it's so easy to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to venture into a little bit about running because for you guys that don't know, Matt was a college football player. Sports football was his life, but now he's a runner, and this guy is, killing it in the running game. And a lot of people just see him as a runner. So, let's start. Why?
I think running was something that during COVID I could do. It started with just this curiosity and me wanting to step out of my comfort into something that I did not always find fun or enjoyable. And part of it was I saw running as punishment as an athlete. Oh, you guys are late to practice? You guys didn't go to study hall? Conditioning.
Get on the line.
Get on the line and run, right? So the relationship I had with running was always a form of punishment. It was a form of like scarcity, like, oh my God, I don't want to do X amount of 110s or whatever. So when COVID hit and the gyms were shut down, like for me, I always go in the mode of like, what can I do that has very low barrier of entry? There's no excuses. I can do push-ups, squats, I can do body weight exercises, and I can run. I'm still getting movement in when a lot of people were just sitting on their ass during COVID. So throughout this process of being curious and failing and learning, I realized that like I was leaving a lot on the table by not giving my best effort into something. And I think as humans, if you find something that you're not the best at, that you don't really love to do, but if you can actually do it as if you love it, you can build this level of discipline that will translate into everything that you do in life. And that's why I got into it, was one, that it was a challenge, it wasn't comfortable for me. But then as I started to tackle it, I realized, and it opened up my mindset of what I can do as a human. If I could dedicate this time to be a better runner, then what can that do for me as a human, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a son, as a brother? Like, I can then scale my life and be the best in every aspect. If I could do it in something I hate, imagine what I could do in something I love. Yeah. And that was kind of why I chose running. And now it is something that people look at me and they're like, dude, like you're that runner on TikTok or you're that runner on social media, where, yeah, that's how people perceive me. But really, bro, running is just my vehicle to communicate my message to the world. And I think that when that triggered for me, yes, people relate with me with running because my story is relatable. I haven't always been a runner, but it shows you that you can transform yourself into anything you want. And that's my message. And I want to use running, and maybe right now running is the vehicle to communicate that, but maybe in 5 years it's through yoga, maybe being a monk or doing something completely different to show someone again you can reinvent yourself at any point in life. That does not stop.
I mean, running's one example. You can name 1,000 of them, but so many people don't start it because it's hard, especially with physical stuff. And shit, I've been there where I'm not in game shape. Getting back into game shape sucks. I mean, it is hard, but the journey along that route to getting back into that that condition you want to be in is so memorable. And when you're done with it, when you're over, it's like, dude, like the pride you have in yourself is a good feeling. And I think a lot of people need to change their outlook on their physical health, because it will change everything in their life.
By far.
Yeah. And mental health, everything.
Dude, all of it. It's all, dude, you're as strong as your physical, your spiritual, and your mental health, right? If one is lacking, the other two have to over-index. Yeah. You would hope that all three are working and operating as a machine together. And that's by far why I enjoy running the most, because it is more than just a physical. You get the physical while you do it, but then during it, you also realize there's a mental battle. The doubt creeps into your mind. Christian, just stop, dude. You've gone already. You've gone your furthest. You've gone 4 miles, dude. Take a break. Walk a little bit. Dude, your calf is hurting. It's sore. Dude, stop running. All of those things happen on a run. And your ability to overcome that doubt, because once again, life is all about the person you look in the mirror. It's that voice. It's winning that battle. Most people lose a battle to themselves, and then they expect to win against fucking the external world. If you can't win against your own self, how can you win against the billions of other distractions that are happening in the world? And that's why I gravitated towards running a lot. And a lot of the routines and habits I do are helping support my system and how I view the world internally for me. Like a lot of the challenges and things I do, bro, like they're not for other people. I don't run 100 miles just so I can post on social media. It's because I want to test what Matt can do. And as I cross that finish line, I am proud of the effort that I gave. It's less about the finish time. It's less about what place I came in. The external world cares about that. Yep. Oh, what place did you finish, bro? What was your final time? Dude, that's so slow compared to all. For me, it's irrelevant, right? I do those challenges because I'm learning something about myself in those moments of like, damn, what do I really have? Like how much grit, how much determination do I actually have? Because it's so easy to look on social and be like, dude, you've done all these things. But like in those moments, that's where you learn. When at mile 65, you're like, how the fuck am I going to run 35 more miles? You start to test yourself. Just like when you're in a rugby game or a football game, like in the fourth quarter, that's where you separate the men from the boys. Yeah. And it's the same thing in everything in life, whether it's business, a relationship, a physical feat, like you're testing yourself. Yeah. And when you enter the unknown, that's the whole point, is that you get to that breaking point and you either show up or you show out.
Man. Let's talk about setbacks for a second.
I love it.
I mean, if you're comfortable sharing what's the biggest setback you faced in your life, kind of just, talk about it and how you got out of it and your perception on failure and setbacks. What changed after experiencing that?
I think, in my mind, when I first left corporate America, like it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. Like, dude, when you've been on your own now for 4 years of college, and then you move out of your parents' house and you go live on your own, and then at 25 years old having to move back and take that like level of humility to say, damn, like it might actually be a smarter move to humble myself, move back home, and deal with the shit from the external, right? Because now everyone's like, oh, like, dude, why are you shifting careers, or getting the backlash from family members of like, dude, are you sure that this is the right move, and X, Y, and Z? At that moment, though, I knew that I was doubling down on what I believed Matt wanted, like what I wanted for my life. And I think that was one of the biggest setbacks for me, was like just having the humility to understand that I can't live my life for other people. That in those moments when you have an opportunity to achieve a dream or passion that you say you want, like you have to go all in on it. And by going all in, for me, it was decreasing my expenses, which moving back home, it helps you stretch yourself a little bit because now you have room to breathe.
Yeah.
And doing that, even telling my mom, like, yeah, like, what are your thoughts on that? There was a level of humility that I had to take and be like, I'm willing to do this because I see my path in the future, the trajectory started to change.
Wow.
And that, I would say, was like a setback, but I'm blessed and fortunate that my mom was cool with that happening. And now it's manifested into something super dope.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
It's hard to like predict. It's hard to convince someone that in that moment though, when you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
But dude, Uriah Faber, UFC Hall of Famer, told me when he was pioneering kind of the UFC bantamweight division, he had this dream that no one else could see. No one else really saw the light at the end of the tunnel except him. And that's something that's so powerful, is you're the only person that needs to see that reality. In the minute you stop allowing those other voices to influence your life, sky's the limit.
I love that, bro. It's Steve Harvey. I was listening to this podcast where he was on, and his daughter's Lori Harvey, who's super successful, and Lori always like very entrepreneur. So Steve was giving this story about how like she has all of these ambitious ideas and things that like sometimes he can't really comprehend it. But he said this powerful thing. He was talking to parents. He said, parents, you don't need to see the vision or the dreams that your kids have. And it's okay because you guys are different people. But what you can do is support them in that pursuit. And I think the same thing applies with even friends or relationships or siblings. Like no one needs to see your vision as long as you see it and you believe it. And if you do everything in your power to stay true to that and do the proper steps and the proper work that it takes to build anything, to see that dream or vision come true, that's all that matters. Yeah. And I think for people, it's like if you can find people that are willing to support your dream or vision, that's amazing. But don't be mad if they're not around. Yeah. Because sometimes you have to believe it. If you don't believe it, how the fuck is anyone else gonna believe it?
But you better know that they're gonna want to take photos. They're gonna shake your hand once that dream becomes a reality.
Of course, but it's important to not let the love or the hate steer you either direction. Yeah. You can't listen to either of it, bro. Growing my social now and like having people come up to me wanting to take pictures is by far like one of the most like humbling things for me, because I didn't do this to like have people want to run with me or take pictures with me. That just kind of happened along the journey. And it'd be super easy to be like, oh, I'm fucking a hot shot, I'm this, I'm that, and treat people a certain way. Where at the end of the day, like, we're all human, bro. Whether you have a social media or you're just a business owner and with no social media, like, we all live very similar lives in terms of having our own struggles, our own demons, and also having some happiness in our lives. But I think for most people, they think that like this social media game is like all sunshines and rainbows, and it comes with a lot of good and bad, just like anything. Yeah. And it's your ability to manage that and manage the good things, manage the hate, and stay even keeled. And it's why I love the Lokai band, because these bands are mud from the Red Sea, which is the lowest point of Earth, and it's water from Antarctica, which is the highest point of Earth. And the goal of these bands is, one, to not only spread this message of like, stay even keel. Don't let the lows get you too low. Don't let the highs get you too high. Stay in a sense of balance and be present where you are. And I really believe that message to be true. And it's something for me that I try to apply every day. And there's things in my life that can extract that, whether it is running. When you're running, bro, it's so easy to get your mind lost in everything else. But to stay present every single foot strike, it's a practice that I love to play with every day.
So then how do you strike the balance between go, 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 okay, let's take it back, let's recover, let's focus on me? Like, how do you find balance in your life right now?
I think it's just, once again, I'll say it 100 times, it comes to having patience. Like, I know that I'm in this for the long haul.
Okay.
So like, for me, sitting here at 27 years old, some people think that at 27 that they're old as fuck. And they got time. They have a bad relationship with time. And I think for me, how I am able to balance that is that I've realized that, yes, I'm trying to squeeze every single day. The 24 hours I have in a day, I want to make sure that it's as efficient as it's possible. But at the same time, bro, when it's not, when I'm getting slightly distracted as family comes into town or friends are in town, like, I just don't judge myself. Like, if I don't post a piece of content, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, the small things in our day-to-day lives are not like that big of a deal in the grand scheme of life, right? So if you are out of your routine for a week, or if you're on vacation for a week and you're not eating as clean, that week is not going to deter all the gains that you've made. And the same thing applies with everything that we do. Like, if you have a couple off days, even for me for training, I'll give a great example of marathon training. One shitty workout will not define your whole block of training, right? The goal is that if you've built up this 15 or 16 weeks or 20 weeks of training, like 70-80% of the runs will feel like, you know, pretty solid, but there will be 20 to 25% of runs where you feel like shit, you're burnt out, and you're in your own head psychologically. But being able to manage those expectations and understand that this is part of the process. You're not going to just have all these wins stack. Like, you need to be able to deal with some adversity. And for me, it comes back to patience and just thinking of it long term. I know for a fact that every day is not going to be fucking 10 out of 10. But as long as I can manage those expectations and understand that I'm giving my best effort for that given day, that's how I kind of frame that.
Big. I freaking love that. And like, what's sort of the feedback that a lot of people are giving you? You know, their top three, I guess, problems getting into the industry or trying to do something new. You know, what sort of challenges are people facing? Like, what's the biggest piece of feedback that you're getting that you're trying to motivate people to change, like, their outlook on?
It's something we've already spoken upon, but it's definitely like seeking outside validation and taking in too many other people's opinions, and typically negative ones. Most people in life will give you the 10 reasons why something won't work out, when realistically it just needs to work out one way. And I think that's the biggest thing, is I tell people not to listen to negativity. And if you have a vision or you have a dream or you have something you want to do, then you need to do your best and empower yourself to put the right people in your circle or listen to the right things to achieve that. Like, how to grow on social media, the first step is to, one, put yourself out there, but how do you do that is you can't care what someone's going to think of the video. And what I mean by not caring, it's not even the people that are like close to you, it's the external random people. You're gonna, like, when people don't view your video, it's not that you suck. It's just that maybe your video didn't have as much value as you thought. Maybe there's ways that you can, create little nuances in that video to extract more value to the end consumer. So I think the biggest thing that most people struggle with is their own inner demons. And I think if you can work that muscle, if you can work on that, you can start to, one, put yourself out there more. And that would be by far the biggest thing I would tell someone is stop listening to the people that are giving you negative feedback.
Let me check if it's recording still. Yep. I think we got like 10 minutes to
I think so. We have 19 right now.
Sweet. Should we get into some rapid fires?
Let's go.
All right, we're gonna get into some rapid fires.
Let's go.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Discipline, positive, and humble.
Okay. Best song to run to.
Great question.
Come on.
I'm a big fan of Kanye West, All Falls Down. Or what's that song called? No.
All the Lights?
No, not All the Lights. Dude,
Yeah, it must be your favorite song. You know it so well.
Kanye West.
That's it.
Graduation.
Okay. Best advice anyone's ever given you.
Find someone 5 to 10 years older than you that you want to emulate or be like, and if they're not around, then go seek it.
Biggest fear.
Not maximizing my full potential.
Who inspires you?
My mom and other entrepreneurs I look up to, but I would say my mom is where I get a lot of my inspiration from.
How important is legacy to you?
Everything.
What do you want your legacy to be about?
That I gave more than I took.
I love it. Okay, last one. What advice would you give somebody who's just now starting chasing their dream?
Don't allow external voices to change what you believe to be true in your mind. Go after it. Like if it's there's this Denzel Washington thing. He said that feeling, the urge to do something good, to do something positive, it's God's proof to you that it's yours for the taking. But you have to go take it. You have to claim it. Nothing's gonna just be given to you. And along that journey, you're gonna learn a lot of shit. So make sure that you fucking teach someone else what you know. And as you grow, your acts of service is by sharing your knowledge to the next person. And each one, teach one. And as that happens, whether it's being positive or giving someone gain, the world will become a better place.
There you go. There it is, guys. Another episode of The Chase with the one and only Matt Choi. I hope you all enjoyed. Guys, there's going to be plenty more where this came from. This is just the beginning. Share this with somebody that you know, that you think, you know, it could add some value to their life. Like the show, subscribe to it, and together, let's change the world.
Let's go. Peace.